Welcome to your Penn State, West Virginia preview presented by PrizePicks. Country roads take us home to the place we belong, Morgantown, West Virginia, the site of this, what could be a very fun game. These two teams met last year. Penn State actually dominated this game against a West Virginia team that was going to wind up being very good. That West Virginia team ended up winning 9 games. So can we expect West Virginia to put up a better showing this year? I think so. I think West Virginia knows what they have in quarterback Garrett Green, in tailback Jaheim White. The question is, what's Penn State's offense going to look like? I'm not worried about Penn State's defense. You move Abdul Carter down to a full-time pass rushing position. You bring in Tom Allen to replace Manny Diaz as defensive coordinator. You're feeling pretty good about a group that was pretty salty last year and brings a lot back. Now, they don't bring everybody back like Chop Robinson's in the NFL now, but they are very, very strong and very deep. So it will be hard for West Virginia to move the ball. But Garrett Green is my friend Jesse Simonson, my coworker at On3, calls him a heave and hope passer, which the thing about Garrett Green is when he's in heave and hope mode, it can go really well or really, really bad, and there's not a lot of middle ground. And I think that's what's so much fun. So let's say we're playing PrizePicks, and if you're not, check it out. Best daily fantasy game in America. You download that PrizePicks app, you use the code Staples, you play $5, you get $50 instantly. What you do is you're picking squares essentially, and each player has a number attached to passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, TDs, and you say, I think they'll do more than or less than this. You pick at least 2 squares. You can pick more than 2. The more you pick, the higher potential payout. So let's talk about some of these squares in this game. Garrett Green is at 176.5. If it's less than that, I think West Virginia's going to lose the game. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. They're going to have to get something out of their passing attack. Now, this is a team that's really good at running the ball. C.J. Donaldson, Jaheim White, who averaged 6.7 yards a carry last year. Garrett Green, who averaged over 6 yards a carry, even though sacks are included in your rushing total. That's how good Garrett Green is with his legs. So you got Jaheim White with 55.5 rushing yards in his square. Garrett Green's square for rushing yards is 42.5. I don't know that Garrett Green has to do the more than on the rushing, but he certainly probably has to do the more than on 176.5 passing. Jaheim White, you're probably going to need to get more than 55.5 rushing yards from him. The one number I find very interesting is tight end Cole Taylor for West Virginia. This is one of the big guys they retained this season. And that's West Virginia's done a better job of retaining guys that would be of interest to other teams in the transfer portal. Cole Taylor is one of those guys. They kept him. His number on Saturday, 23.5. Well, he went more than that 9 times last year, including against Penn State. So that's one I would keep an eye on. That feels like a more than right there. As far as Penn State's offense goes, Drew Aller, their quarterback, new offensive coordinator in Andy Staples. Can he make Drew Aller a more dynamic passer? Can he make him a less risk-averse passer? Drew Aller did a great job of taking care of the football last year for Penn State, but they were not great at attacking teams downfield. And, look, they have a good defense. They have a decent running game. You felt pretty good about that. And that's going to win you most games, but it doesn't win you the games against the best teams on your schedule. And West Virginia is one of the better teams on Penn State's schedule. They're probably going to need a contribution from the passing game here. So that 210.5 from Drew Aller, you may need the more than. The question is, who is going to be the guy you're throwing to? You got Tyler Warren, Harrison Wallace, Julian Fleming. Remember Julian Fleming, the former 5-star at Ohio State. Looked at the depth chart at Ohio State. It's like, look, there's some really good receivers here. I don't know how many balls I'm getting here. He's at Penn State now. He may get the bulk of them. But all of their numbers on Saturday are in the 30s. None of them have a number higher than 37.5, which is Harrison Wallace's number. Julian Fleming's at 36.5 receiving yards. So it's really a guess which Penn State receiver becomes Drew Aller's favorite target. Remember, Keandre Lambert-Smith, who was the most productive receiver for Penn State last year, is at Auburn now. So is this offense going to be more dynamic? is Drew Aller going to attack downfield more? Are they going to just be conservative and let the defense do its thing? Nittany, not known as a conservative offensive coordinator, but we've had James Franklin on the show. He said basically we love what he did at Kansas, but also he's got to come in, learn what we do here, and adjust to the players in the scheme here. And so how wild are they going to let Andy Nittany get? If the defense is keeping West Virginia in check, I don't know that they need to. So that Drew Aller number, that 210.5, I don't know where to go with that, because it really is going to depend on what they let those guys do. Do they let the offense let its freak flag fly, or do they say, look, this defense is really good, we're going to stay conservative? I still think if you're Penn State and you want to make the college football playoff and you want to beat the best teams on your schedule, you want to be able to beat anybody you might face if you make the playoff, you got to let Drew Aller cook at some point. You got to try it. So this might be a time to think about the more than and then see what they do. Because I think we'll learn a lot about the personality of this offense in this game. Because if West Virginia, if Garrett Green does some hoping and heaving, and the heaves work, and the hope comes through, Drew Aller might have to throw Penn State to a win. We'll find out if he can do it. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples On 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.